Welcome back for the next lecture of the for Open Elective 3, that is economic policies in India. In the previous lecture, we have discussed about the we started rather about the 11th 5-year plan, पंचवार्षिक योजना आपण ज्याला म्हणतो, that every government used to have and their prospective plan for the development of the nation. Okay, that development is in various heads, we can say various aspects, those are going to be covered in that. So by considering all those things, the every government, central government, we can say, they used to have an 5-year development plan for the overall. So the development plan is for the overall development of the nation, including its various elements. Okay, so here in our syllabi we are having the 11th 5-year plan. So whatever the 5-year plans those were started, out of that the 11th 5-year plan we have for our study, and that was from the 2007 to the 2012. So tenure of that 11th 5-year plan is from 2007 to the 2007 to the 2012. So firstly, I think we have discussed about the introduction and all those things, that is what is meant by 5-year plan, when that 11th 5-year plan has been got introduced, and when that 5-year plan has been got started, began in India. So Prime Minister Jawaharlal Nehruji, that is the Honorable Prime Minister Jawaharlal Nehruji, set up the Planning Commission in 1950. That is, they developed the Planning Commission in 1950, and they put forth the first, or they introduced the first 5-year plan in 1950-51. So 1950-51 is the financial year. So from that year, our nation, Indian government, we can say, has started this 5-year development plans. So what does it mean, or what is it used to have? So the 5-year plan or पंचवार्षिक योजना, we used to say, okay, वो क्या होती है? So it is then a guiding principles of India's 5-year plans are provided by the basic objectives of growth, employment, self-reliance, and social justice. So here some of the basic objectives I have introduced, taken over here. It may happen that apart from those basic principles, others will be therein, but most of the times the basic objectives are regarding the growth. That may be the various sector, that may be the or industrial sector, that may be the agriculture sector, that may be the anything else. Then employment sector, self-reliance, that is entrepreneurship, and social justice likewise. So those are the some of the basic principles involved in a 5-year plan, and with respect to that, the guiding document, we can say, that used to be get developed and it used to be introduced in by each and every government, and it used to get sanctioned. Okay, then regarding the journey of the 5-year plans, so as we have discussed last time, I'm going just to and briefing the things. Okay, so we have to discuss the remaining part also. The first 5-year plan was in 1951-56, and the major objective was about the agriculture development, because we have seen in the previous part, that is during an British government, that is a colonial government, we can say, our agriculture sector was completely collapsed, and we were having so much poverty, and death rate was so high. So to overcome that, we need to develop, firstly we need to change our production from the commercial crops towards the food grains, we can say. So for that purpose, they were having, that is the Honorable Prime Minister has focused mostly on the agriculture development, and they targeted about for the GDP about 2.1, and the achieved GDP during that tenure is about 3.5. The second plan was in 1956-61. It was having the major objective as a rapid industrialization with emphasis on a basic and a heavy industries. GDP targeted was a 4.5, and they achieved about the 4.2. Third 5-year plan was from 61 to 66. Means each and every 5 years after that, they have started having a new 5-year plan and new objectives, or if the objectives are got not fulfilled from the previous one, along with those objectives, they have introduced the new objectives. So from for 61 to 66, the main objective was the self-reliant and self-generating economy. That was the major objective in that particular tenure, and the targeted GDP was of 5.6, and it was achieved about the 2.5. Then after that, they have introduced an annual plan. Means now we have seen per 5 year we used to have a 5 year plan. यानी कि जो भी गवर्नमेंट आ जाएगा वो गवर्नमेंट क्या करेगा, उसका एक विजन रखेगा. So that vision we can say in the terms of the development of the nation. That vision is in terms of the planning of the various sectors to get achieve the highest levels, we can say, in their particular regions or in particular forms, we can say. So after 2 tenures or after 2 governments, we can say, or say one of the government is ruling for the 2 terms, that is 5 year 5 year, then we used to have an annual plan. It was from 66 to 69. Then the fourth plan was from 69 to 74. Major objectives were growth with the stability and the progressive achievement of the self-reliance. So here we can say that in these 2 plans, that is the second plan, uh, third plan and fourth plan, they have focused more on the self-reliance. Okay, means how to develop an industrial sector and how to turn the different peoples towards and industries, or to develop their industry at their own. That is an entrepreneurship, we can say. Then the fifth year plan was from 74 to 79, and it was related to the Garibi Hatao removal. That is, Garibi Hatao means the removal of the poverty and the self-reliance, because the poverty was the major issue in India. Nowadays also we used to have an poverty, but nowadays that much we are not having that much poverty. But at that time, that when we got independence, at that time that issue was so critical, we can say crucial. Okay, so for the fifth year plan, the main objective was the Garib Hatao, that is a removal of the poverty and the reliance, self-reliance, we can say. GDP targeted was 4.4 and they achieved about the 4.7. Then the next is the sixth 5 year plan, that is for 80 to 85. Again, the poverty elevation. GDP targeted was 5.2 and achieved was 5.5. Then seventh plan was from 85 to 90. Okay. Then again they focused on the agriculture development and the employment opportunities in the various sectors. Okay. Then the GDP targeted was 5 and they achieved, that government has achieved the GDP of 5.6. Then again annual plan. Then the eighth 5 year plan was from 92 to the 97, and the main objective was to accelerate the economic growth. Now we are on the verge of the baseline, or the we have formed the base for the economic growth. So in that eighth plan, the government has focused on how to accelerate now that economic growth. Now we have a setup of the somewhat industries. Then we have improved in agriculture sector. Now our motto was how to accelerate those things. So at that time, the government has focused on the acceleration on the economic growth. GDP targeted was a 5.6 and they reached up to the 6.5. Okay. Then the ninth plan, it is the 1972 to 2002. They were having the main objectives of the growth and the social justice and equality. So here we can say that they have started now towards the development of the peoples. Okay, no doubt that from the beginning only they have targeted the thing, but the social justice म्हणजे आपण म्हणतो की सामाजिक न्याय वगैरे, equality in the sense we can say that सामाजिक आपण काय म्हणतो ते जातीयवाद, धर्मवाद ह्या ज्या गोष्टी असतात. So in that terms, then gender etc. On that terms, they have focused about the equality and the growth and the justice, social justice. Okay. Then after the ninth, there was the annual, and then we are having the 11th 5 year plan, which we have to discuss much more in depth. So this 11th 5 year plan was developed, or planning was done, we can say, or carried out under the guidelines of Honorable Prime Minister Dr. Manmohan Singh. Okay, so we all are knowing that he is one of the economist. Okay, and he has the key person. He has played a role of a key person in that 11th 5 year plan. Now we'll focus on that. What was the objectives and all those things, what they targeted, what they achieved, and what are the drawbacks they came across. There is a in detail we have to go for that. So talking about the 11th 5 year plan, म्हणजे जर का आपण मेनली जर का असं म्हटलं की जर का आपला 11वी जी पंचवार्षिक योजना जी होती, that was purely not purely we can say, there was a developed and governed by the Honorable Prime Minister Dr. Manmohan Singh, and the main mottos or main objectives, those were therein. Okay, so the targets we can say, those were about 27 national targets. There's key targets we can say, and those 27 targets or 27 key points we can say, those the government wanted to enhance or accelerate or have a development in that. Those 27 key targets were grouped, categorized into 6 major categories. So what they did, उन्होंने क्या किया, जो उनके पास जो 27 जो की टारगेट्स थे, उनको उन्होंने 6 मेजर कैटेगरीज में ऐसा डाल दिया था, यानी कि 6 मेजर कैटेगरीज थे, और 6 मेजर कैटेगरी के अंडर वो टोटल 27 यानी कि 27 जो की टारगेट्स थे वो उनको उन्होंने उसमें डाल दिया था, ताकि हर एक पे वॉच होना चाहिए और ग्रुपिंग होना चाहिए. So that purpose they have grouped those 27 national targets or key targets we can say under the 6 major categories, and those 6 major categories are income and poverty. Means they were wanted to focus on the how to enhance the income per capita we can say, and the how to remove the poverty. गरिबी कशी हटवता येईल आणि प्रत्येकाचं इन्कम जे आहे ते इन्कम कसं वाढवता येईल, हा पहिली कॅटेगरी होती. सेकंड वन इज अबाउट द एज्युकेशन. So education is a key role for each and every key point or key aspect we can say for each and every country to be get enhanced. Okay, so now this was the second one, that is education. Then third one is about the health. That is as we all are knowing that during an British or on the eve of the independence, we were having a lack of the medical facilities, and or rather we can say there were no medical facilities, and wherever they were having, those were so inadequate as compared to the population of that particular region or that particular locality. So we tried to improve that, and in this 11 5-year plan they mostly focused on the health issues. Then next category, that is the fourth one, that is women and children. महिला आणि बाल संवर्धन किंवा सक्षमीकरण आपण म्हणू त्याला. It is about the women and children that will be related to the आपण काय म्हणतो ते poverty आपल्याला म्हणता येणार नाही. That is how to enhance the education in the women's. Then beti padhao beti bachao, likewise the some of the operations those were carried out by the government. Those are some of the things I am introducing over here. So women and children. Fifth category was related to the infrastructure that is related to the roads, railways, buildings we can say, dams, etc., etc. That includes all the structures that are related to the infrastructure development, because we are knowing that if the infrastructure is good, then it is to lead to have an reduction in the wastage of the time for moving from one place to another place. For example, take an example of the transportation of the raw material from the production areas to the processing areas. म्हणजे जर का आपला production area हा filled असेल, and if you want to process that material in the industries, in the MIDCs we can say, then to reduce the time of a journey, we need to have a proper infrastructure in terms of the roads and railways. And on that side only, the Britishers have started in that era, that is on the colonial government. They introduced the railways, they constructed the roads, they constructed the canals for the navigation, etc., etc. It was a motto we can say. Then the sixth category, major category we can say, there is the environment. So related to the environment, there is and there will be, we can say, the major issue related to the degradation of the environment. That is a pollution we can say, it is a major issue. That pollution may be the water, air, or the noise we can say. Noise we are not talking about that much, but from the civil point of view we can consider as an water and the air pollution. So as far as those environmental aspects are concerned, means those things they have considered as a major categories, and under those major categories they have total 27 key targets. So the 6 major categories are income and poverty, first one. Second one is education. Third one is the health. Fourth one is the women and children. Fifth one is the infrastructure, and the sixth one is the environment. Okay, so the targets in each of these categories are given below. So whatever the targets they are having, or targets those they were set for the development of those sectors we can say, categories we can say. Under those categories, different key points for them, whatever the target those they had set, those are here in the next slide. First one, that is the income and the poverty. Now, as discussed, that is the income is related to how much we are earning, and that earning indirectly helps in the improvement of the total nation, we can say. As an take an example, if a farmer used to go for some crops, and if that crops are of quality crops and they are getting exported to the for the other countries, then from that we used to get the foreign returns. Okay, so that is the thing about the overall development of not only the farmer but overall development, economical development, other we can say, of the nation also. So in that term, the income and the poverty, that is average GDP growth rate of 9% per year in the 11th plan period. So they targeted to have an average gross domestic product growth rate of about 9% per year in that particular 5-year plan. जो 5-year plan था, उसमें per year का जो GDP है, that is targeted to have a 9% growth, we can say, average GDP growth, we can say. Then GDP for the agriculture, from the agriculture we can say, it is agriculture GDP growth rate at a 4%. Overall average GDP was about a 9%. They set about 9% per year, and for the agriculture sector, that GDP growth rate at a 4% per year on the average. But that average is for the agriculture. First one is for the overall, we can say, it is 9%. Then how to improve that GDP then, or how to in the sense, if you want to improve the GDP, then we need to improve the economic condition of each and every individual, we can say, every sector, and then through the sector we can say individual. Means suppose that we are having a different organizations, MNCs, we can say, multinational companies, we are having that maybe processing or anything else, and if their income or their revenue is their revenues are increasing, then they are going to contribute for the overall development of the overall GDP of the nation, we can say. And as the overall revenues of those companies are going to increase, it means that the whatever the employees are there in those organizations, their income and per capita income is also going to increase. It means that what they focused, generation of the work opportunities, means creation of the jobs, we can say, and that target was about 58 billions, means about 58 million new work opportunities. They were having a target generation of 58 million new work opportunities. What if we are able to generate the new work opportunities, ultimately each and everyone will get a work to their hand. If they are getting work to their hand, then they will get some income. For example, take an example in our nation or in our house, we can say, take an example of our home. Hardly our mother and father, or maybe most of the times father, used to have an income, or he used to earn by the job or agriculture, etc., etc., and remaining people used to be dependent on him or her, we can say. यानी कि हमारे यहाँ क्या होता है कि मान लो कि एक खेती करने वाला एक क्या बोलते हैं उसको, फार्मर है, और उसका जो उसके पास बोल दो कि उसके फैमिली मेंबर जो है वो 3-4 मेंबर्स रहते हैं, 2 बच्चे हैं मान लो, और वो दोनों है, और उसके बूढ़े माँ बाप भी रहेंगे, तो 2-4-6 रहेंगे। तो उसमें क्या होता है कि बच्चे यदि पढ़ाई कर रहे हैं तो अर्निंग करने वाला जो रहता है वो खाली अकेला फार्मर रहता है, और उसकी बीवी हम कुछ हद तक वो उसको मदद करती है, यानी कि 2 लोग अभी कमाने वाले हो गए, और 4 लोग क्या हो गए वहां पे, खाली यदि वो पढ़ाई कर रहे हैं बच्चे, लेकिन वो कमा नहीं रहे हैं। सो यदि वो पढ़ाई उनकी खत्म भी हो गई है, तो वो क्या करते हैं कि जॉब वगैरह ढूंढते रहते हैं, तब तक उनके हाथ में कुछ जॉब नहीं रहता है, यानी कि up to that moment they doesn't have any income, means the whole family is dependent on that leader, that is a farmer only, we can say. So in that case, if the whatever they are earning, that will be get utilized for the development of, or the for the fulfillment of the needs of that family only, and it will not be remaining amount will not be deposited in the banks or anything else, or they will not earn that much, and the GDP, they are not going to contribute for the GDP development, growth of a GDP. But if the there will be the job opportunities, or there will be some work for all the peoples of the home, we can say. So take an example for the that mother and father of that farmer, if they have an additional business of say good farming, etc., then those grandmother grandfather can go for that. So likewise we can say that there will be the some of some sort of the earning from that, and it will be ultimately helpful for the fulfillment of the requirement of the family. So likewise the government has targeted to generate a new work opportunities about 58 million. Ye 58 million new work opportunities will be there, then 58 million persons will get job. They will have the job there to their hand, and they will have their own earning, and it is going to contribute ultimately for the development of their family, then state and the nation, we can say. Then if those work opportunities are more, then ultimately the development of the organizations will be there, or companies will be there, their production rate will increase. Due to their production rate, again the exchange will increase, exchange of the products, we can say, or the export, we can say, simply export will be get increased, and the foreign returns, or the foreign earning, we can say, that will be get increased, and ultimately it is going to help for the overall development of the overall growth of the GDP, we can say. So means the target was about the 58 million new work opportunities. Now if that work opportunities will be get generated, then ultimately there is the reduction in unemployment. अभी 58 मिलियन यदि हम जॉब जनरेट कर रहे हैं, तो 58 मिलियन लोगों को जॉब मिल जाएगा, यानी कि जो ग्रेजुएट है, जो काम कर सकते हैं, उनके पास जो जॉब नहीं था, उनका जो अनएम्प्लॉयमेंट था, दैट विल बी गेट रिड्यूस्ड, एंड दैट टारगेट among the educated to less than 5%, means whatever the educated persons were there, जो भी ग्रेजुएट हुए हैं, जो भी एजुकेटेड है, जो काम कर सकते हैं ऑर्गेनाइजेशन में, डिफरेंट कंपनीज में, नहीं तो वो खुद का कुछ तो कर सकते हैं, वैसे जो लोग हैं उनको जो अनएम्प्लॉयमेंट है वो 5% से कम करने का था, कम करना है. दैट वाज द टारगेट ऑफ द 11th 5-year plan. Then 20% rise in the real wage rate of unskilled workers. Okay, then reduction in the headcount ratio of the headcount ratio consumption poverty by 10% points. Reduction in the headcount ratio of the consumption poverty by 10% points, means we have to reduce here the poverty. Okay, that was the main target, and for that they are having the target about the 10 points. Okay, the next one is about the education. So what they planned for the education sector. So therefore, as far as education sector is considered, the honorable prime minister had a plan about reduction in the dropout rates of children at the elementary level from 52.2% in 2003 to 4 to the 20% by 2011-12. यानी कि हमारे यहाँ बहुत बार क्या होता है कि जब यदि फैमिली बैकग्राउंड यदि फार्मर है, तो क्या होता है, उनका बच्चा होता है, जो भी लड़का होता है उस फैमिली में, उसका एजुकेशन हार्डली 7 to 9 स्टैंडर्ड पे होता है, वो बाद में छोड़ देता है, और जो भी ट्रेडिशनल बिजनेस है उनका फार्मिंग का, वो ज्वाइन कर देता है. तो वो उसकी वजह से क्या होता था कि बच्चे स्कूल बहुत छोड़ देते थे, यानी कि एजुकेशन कंप्लीट नहीं कर रहे थे. So there is a reduction in dropout rates of children at the elementary level, यानी कि elementary level में ही बहुत सारे बच्चे स्कूल छोड़ देते थे. तो वो कितना था परसेंट वहां पे, तो 2003-2004 में वो 52.5% जो बच्चे थे, वो उनका स्कूलिंग जो था वहां पे छोड़ देते थे. तो वो टारगेट क्या था, अबाउट इट हैज टू बी गेट रिड्यूस्ड बाय 20%. जो अभी 100 में से 52-53 बच्चे जो है वो स्कूलिंग उनका छोड़ रहे थे, वो परसेंट जो था वो 20% से रिड्यूस करना था. यानी कि अभी 50-52 के करीब छोड़ रहे थे, वो 20% कम करना था, यानी कि अबाउट 30% उसको रिड्यूस करके लेने का था. अप टू 20% हुआ टू बाय द 2011-12. That was a good sign, that is to enhance the what we can say education or the education sector, we can say. Okay, so for that purpose the government has undertaken the various schemes. Okay, then the developing minimum standards of educational attainment in elementary schools to ensure a quality education. So they had not only planned to reduce the dropout of the children from the elementary level, but also they had a plan for the maintaining the quality of the education. यदि क्वालिटी ही नहीं है तो खाली बच्चों को पास करने से कोई मतलब नहीं है, उनको आगे निकलने से कोई मतलब नहीं है. So they had a plan to have and or to ensure the quality of the education. Okay, that in terms of the standard of the education attainments we can say. Then increasing the literacy rate for the person of age 7 years or more to 85% by 2011-12. Increasing the literacy rate of a persons of age 7 के वहां पे क्या था, तब बच्चे स्कूल में जाते ही नहीं थे. तब का कैसा था, 4 साल में या 5 साल में बच्चा फर्स्ट स्टैंडर्ड में जाता था और वहां से स्कूलिंग उसका ड्रॉप हो जाता था. तो क्या अप टू एज 7 यानी कि जो भी लिटरेसी का जो proportion था, they wanted to reduce it by 85%. Means they wanted to increase the literacy by 85% and illiteracy they wanted to remove it up to 11-12. Then the next key point under the education was reducing the gender gap in a literacy to a 10 percentage points by 11-12. अभी उस वक्त में और अभी भी थोड़ा बहुत है, लेकिन अभी वहां अभी उतना नहीं है, लेकिन उस वक्त क्या था, लड़कियों को ज्यादा स्कूल में भेजा नहीं जाता था, लड़कों को ज्यादा स्कूल की तरफ भेजा जाता था. Okay, so the government has a plan to reduce this gender gap. So education for all or for all genders we can say, likewise we can say, लेकिन जो भी उसका जो gender gap tha, they wanted to reduce. Okay, and that brought up to the 10% up to the 11-12. Then increasing the percentage of each cohort going to the higher education from the present 10% to 15% by 11-12. यानी कि तब क्या था कि जो भी बच्चे स्कूलिंग करने के बाद और नहीं तो उनका जूनियर कॉलेज वगैरह करने के बाद हायर एजुकेशन जो लेने वाले थे, it was only about 10%. Means about 100 student which were admitted in a first standard, हार्डली 10 स्टूडेंट्स 10 बच्चे खाली वो हायर एजुकेशन के लिए जाते थे. तो गवर्नमेंट ने क्या प्लान किया था कि मिनिमम 15% तो बच्चे यानी कि 100 में से 15 बच्चे तो हायर एजुकेशन की तरफ जाने चाहिए. And that was a so big target we can say at that time in 2011 12 we can say. So talking about the key points of the education, the government has the first key point about the development of the education or improvement in the sector of the education, that was firstly to reduce the dropout rates of the students from the 52.2% to the 20%. Then developing the minimum standards for the quality education, increasing the literacy rate for the person of age of 7 years, okay, or more to the 85%. Then reducing the gender gap, then increasing the percentage of students those are going for the higher education, and that percentage was from 10% to the 15%. This is the second sector which government has wanted to develop, that is the education sector we can say. Then the next one, that is the third one, that is health. As we have discussed in a previous part also, that is during a colonial government, we are having so bad scenario about the health facilities. Rather we can say there were no health facilities, and if those were there, they were so inadequate, due to which the death rate was so high and the disease spreading rate was also so high from the that the spreading was from the water and air, waterborne or the air spreading diseases were so high. आपण म्हणतो की साथीचे रोग जे म्हणतो ते त्या काळी भरपूर होते, including the polio. But nowadays the polio has been totally eradicated we can say. 100% we can't say, but so up to 100% has been got eradicated from the India. Then at that time the plague was there, in different flus were there, in typhoid, malaria, etc, etc. Nowadays also they are there in, but the things are scenario has been changed. But now we are facing the conditions of the diseases like corona, etc. Okay, so such conditions which we are facing nowadays as a corona, at that time it was related to the different diseases, okay, as like an plague, etc. But though considering the current scenario, we are having a good health facilities, rather we can say. Then also we are facing too much problems, rather we faced too much problems. So many people got died due to the this pandemic condition of the corona and all those things, by suffering of the corona and all those things. But in those days, the whatever the health facilities were there, those were so inadequate, and number of the regions, number of the places they were not there. So the government has an target to increase the health facility and how to improve the health and the other related things. So for that, the main point or main key point which they have introduced under this category is about the infant mortality rate, that is IMR we can say. infant mortality means यानी कि जो बच्चे रहते हैं उनका जो डेथ का जो रेट था, mortality rate, to be reduced to the 28, and maternal mortality ratio MMR to a 1 per 1000 live births by the end of the 11th plan. यानी कि जो भी उन्होंने प्लानिंग किया था उसमें उन्होंने ये प्लान किया था कि जो भी बच्चों का जो डेथ रेट था, that should be get reduced. Okay, that should be get reduced. infant यानी कि छोटे बच्चे वाले. Okay, maternal mortality rate and should be 1 per 1000, यानी कि बड़े जो लोग हैं उनका जो डेथ रेट है that should be get reduced up to the 1 per 1000. यानी कि जो हेल्थ फैसिलिटीज थी जो थी they wanted to improve. Okay, so live births by the end of the 11th year plan, यानी कि जो 11th year plan था उसके at the end the death rate of the infants must get reduced to the 28 per 1000, and for the maternal mortality ratio or rate we can say that should be get reduced to up to the 1 per 1000. Total fertility rate to be reduced to the 2.1 by the end of the 11th plan. Then clean drinking water to be available for all by 2009. अभी हेल्थ का इशू चल रहा है कि यानी कि खाली यहाँ पे हमें मेडिकल फैसिलिटीज की तरफ ही कॉन्सेंट्रेट करना है, ऐसा नहीं है. तो यहाँ पे हेल्थ के लिए जो भी रखता है तो वहां पे अनाज लगेगा, बाद में ड्रिंकिंग वाटर लगेगा, और जो चीजें हैं जो कि हमारा जो हेल्थ है उसको वेल्थ करने के लिए, we should always talk about it, health is wealth. So to make the health as a wealth, they had a plan in the various aspects. So first plan or first key point under this category was to reduce the mortality rate. Second one is total fertility rate to be reduced to the 2.1. Then providing a clean water for all by 2009. And we used to see in each and every village they used to have an overhead water tank, and from that overhead water tank the water is to be distributed for each and everyone in the village. So they were having, but in the some of the remote areas where the topography doesn't supports for the distribution of the or network of the pipe, in that case it becomes difficult. And in such cases also, in other villages also where we are able to provide the overhead water tank, we doesn't get the clean water. It is to be have some dirt and all those things. So in that case, how to go for the improvement of the quality of the water and how we will be able to provide the clean water? But they targeted to provide the clean water for all by the 2009, ensuring that there are no slip back by the end of the 11th plan. यानी कि जो भी 11th plan year plan जो खत्म होने वाला था उसके एंड तक कोई भी वहां से बच, यानी कि ऐसा नहीं होना चाहिए कि जिसको क्लीन वाटर, ड्रिंकिंग क्लीन वाटर नहीं मिल रहा है. Then the malnutrition among the children of age group of 0 to 3 to be reduced to half its present level by the end of the 11th year plan. आपण बघा कुपोषण जे म्हणतो आपल्याला, that rate must be the that used to be occur that used to be happen in the age group of 0 to 3, यानी 0 से 3 साल के बच्चों तक जो भी कुपोषण का जो रेट है वो that was a huge one. Nowadays also it is there, but nowadays it's so less. So they wanted to reduce it to the half than whatever they were having at the beginning of the 11th year plan. Next one is the anemia among women and girls to be reduced to half its present level by the end of the 11th year plan. Okay, just a minute. So those are the some of the key targets they have targeted in terms of the health. So first one is to reduce the mortality. Second one is to reduce the fertility rate. Okay, then providing the clean water, then reducing the malnutrition, and lastly the anemia among the women and girls to be reduced to the half of its present day. I mean, anemia is nothing but the increasing that is a hemoglobin rate, we can say, likewise related to the hygienic conditions or the health issues, we can say red blood cells, we can say, or the hemoglobin concentration, we can say. Okay, that was related to the health issue. Means in the third category they wanted to enhance those key points. Then next one is the fourth one, that is women and children. So development of the women and children was the big issue, we can say, and for the development of that, the different heads or the targets, key points, those were targeted. Those are likewise. First one is sex ratio for the age group of 0 to 6 to be raised to 935 by 2011-12 and 950 by the 2016 to 17. यानी कि जो भी लड़का लड़की का जो सेक्स रेशो था, यानी कि हमारे उस वक्त पे क्या हुआ था कि लड़की बचाओ बेटी पढ़ाओ जो अभियान चल रहा था, अंडर दैट स्कीम वी वांटेड टू हैव एन इंक्रीज द number of girl childs. Okay, that was going reducing, okay, due to the number of medical facilities and all those things. So they wanted to increase that ratio or increase the number of the girl childs to the 935 by 11-12 and by 950 in 16-17. That was the target, the first target, we can say, in the 11th year plan for the women and children. Then ensuring that at least 33% of the direct and indirect beneficiaries of all government schemes are women and girl children. Means यानी कि हम जो बोलते हैं 33% रिजर्वेशन जो है वो वुमेन्स के लिए दे दिया है. क्यों दे दिया? क्योंकि टू इंक्रीज दी व्हाट वी कैन से अवेयरनेस or education or the of the women's and increasing their number in the various sectors, that will be the government sector, private sector, in the, all the schemes, we can say. Especially talking about the government schemes, they had given a reservation about 33%. That is ensuring that at least 33% of the direct and indirect beneficiaries, they will directly आएंगे, जब indirectly आएंगे, of all government schemes are women and girl children. Okay, so that for that purpose a 33% reservation quota, we can say, design one of the example. Ensuring that all children enjoy a safe childhood without any compulsion to work. यानी कि तब के जमाने में क्या रहता था, अभी भी क्या रहता है, यदि घर में एक लड़का लड़की थे है तो लड़कियों को ज्यादा काम लगाया जाता था और लड़कों को कम काम लगाया जाता था. That was related to the that was an old scenario, and that government wanted to change that scenario. There must be equality in a gender and equal what we can say what we can say exactly treatment for both, that is a girl and a boy. That is ensuring that all the children enjoy a safe childhood without any compulsion to work. So बच्चों से काम करने का जो ये था जमाना था उस वक्त, in that era it was a huge one, but after that government has come with an act, that is a just sorry for interruption, there was due to the network error I was unable to connect. Okay, just a minute. So for the reduction of the kids working in working at various places, the government came with an one of the governing law, the बाल कामगार जे होते त्यांची संख्या कमी करण्यासाठी नंतर ना गव्हर्नमेंट एक रूल पुढे आणला. So those are some of the things that government came up with. So as far as the women and children is considered, we can summarize over here. The government in the 11th 5-year plan has a first objective or the first key point, we can say, that is about the increasing the sex ratio, that is increasing the number of girls up to the 935 by 11-12 and up to 950 by 2016-17. Then ensuring the contribution of or engagement of the girls and the women in the various sectors of the government and other sectors, that to be directly or indirectly beneficiaries of the government and all. schemes, that will be about 33%. Means about 33 girls or the women per in 100 number of the employers we can say must be therein. देखिए जब 100 एम्प्लॉयज रहेंगे तब वहां पे कम से कम 33 तो लड़कियों के लिए वो वहां पे जो सीट्स हैं वो रिजर्व करके रख दिए उन्होंने, गवर्नमेंट ने बहुत सारे sectors में. Okay, so that was the motto, that is having an contribution or the employment of the women and the girl childs we can say in the various sectors. And the last one is that about ensuring the all the children will enjoy a safe childhood without any compulsion to work. That was the fourth one, fourth category we can say. And under that, those three are the key roles, key points we can consider. Then the next one is about the infrastructure. The infrastructure, that is about the roads, railways, waterways, and other things, construction in the terms of the buildings, etc., etc. In all the sectors, the government wanted to have a notable growth. Okay, so that it is as it is going to lead to the, or it is going to help for the overall development of the GDP we can say in terms of the GDP of the nation. So the first key point under the infrastructure or infrastructure category was to ensure the electricity connection to all villages and BPL households by 2009 and reliable power by the end of the plan. कि पहला जो उनका जो पॉइंट था अंडर इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर, दैट वाज प्रोवाइडिंग द इलेक्ट्रिसिटी. तब के जमाने में क्या था, रॉकेल था, उसको घासखेड़ बोलते थे, उसके ऊपर वो क्या करते थे, स्मॉल दीवार्स वी यूज्ड टू हैव. ओके, so likewise we used to have, but the government wanted to have an इलेक्ट्रिसिटी. इलेक्ट्रिसिटी क्यों नहीं थी, क्योंकि वहां पे बहुत सारे रिसोर्सेस उसमें उतने ज्यादा नहीं थे. सो गवर्नमेंट वांटेड टू हैव दैट मच रिसोर्सेस सो दैट each and every village and each and every family, each and every house we can say will get an electricity, okay, by 2009. And there will be the reliable power supply, means there will not be any sort of the shortage of the electricity up to the end of this 5-year plan. So first point under the infrastructure, they had an about the provision of the electricity for each and everyone. Second one is to ensure all weather road connection. बहुत बार हम क्या देखते हैं कि मानसून जब शुरू होता है, बारिश जब शुरू होती है, तब क्या होता है, बहुत सारे ब्रिज रहते हैं, बहुत सारे रोड्स रहते हैं, वो पानी के नीचे जाते हैं, चले जाते हैं. तो वहां पे क्या होता है, ट्रांसपोर्ट पूरा के पूरा ब्लॉक हो जाता है. We are not in the position in those conditions to move from one place to another place or transport the material from one place to the another place. So the fact government wanted to do that, overcome that, is to ensure all weather road connection to all habitations with the population about 1000 and above. There is 500 and above in hilly and tribal areas by 2009 and all significant habitations by 2015. And what they wanted to have, to provide the good quality of the roads, it is connection between the two villages or the towns we can say, and the by the well or the good quality of the roads and the bridges over the in between the rivers or the streams or the drainage, etc., etc. And the target was that about the for the all habitations with the population of 1000 and each, and that targeted for the 500 and above in a hilly and tribal areas by 2009 and for all significant habitations by 2015. यानी कि 2015 तक सभी जो प्लेसेस हैं उनको रोड से कनेक्ट करना था. बहुत बार हम बोलते हैं कि प्रधानमंत्री सड़क योजना एक्सेट्रा एक्सेट्रा. Maybe those schemes they have undertaken, and under that they started the development of the roads, so that the roads are going to be developed or roads are of a good quality. Then in that case it becomes so easy or so good we can say for the connection of the two villages and by the way two states and two nations we can say. So that is the motto, so that there will be a well communication in terms of the transports of the goods and all those things, and there will be the exchange of the material between the two nations or the different nations we can say. So that is the target about the all weather roads. Second one, third one is to connect the every village by a telephone and provide a broadband connectivity to all villages by 2012. So in those days there used to have a So rarely one of the that phone we can say mobile, not the mobile, but they used to have an that trump call, etc., etc. Likewise, the old facilities we can say. कहीं पे तो गांव में एक रहता था वो टेलीफोन. ओके, बाद में वो पहले तो वो हमारा कनेक्शन वाला था, वायर कनेक्शन वाला था. बाद में वायरलेस कॉर्डलेस आ गया. कॉर्डलेस के लिए भी वो रेंज नहीं रहता था. वो कहीं पे तो ऊंचाई पे जाना पड़ता था और वहां से हमें वो रेंज आता था और वहां पे हम दूसरों को कॉल कर सकते थे, बात कर सकते थे. तो यानी कि वो जो कम्युनिकेशन का जो पार्ट है, दैट कम्युनिकेशन पार्ट वाज सो वीक इन दैट एरा. Nowadays each and everyone is having the mobile. Kids also provided with a mobile for the education and all those things. So now we can say we are well developed on that front of the communication, but at that time there was so uh, rare communication facilities, and for that the government wanted to have a connectivity for each and every village by the telephone, so that the transportation of the transformation of the information from one place to another place, connectivity of the people those are working in the cities with their family members in the villages, to have a good quality of the communication. The government has undertaken the scheme, and the government wanted to have the connectivity of the villages by the telephone by 2012 in all villages. Means all villages must be get connected by the telephone up to 2012. Next one is to provide the homestead sites to all by 2012, and step up the pace of a house construction for a rural poor to cover all the poor by 1617. And कि एक scheme था, अभी भी है I think so, इंदिरा आवास योजना I think so. Okay, might be that is therein. So under that scheme, the government wanted to provide the infrastructure in the sense of the houses for the poor peoples. And the government I think used to give us and some amount that maybe 50-60,000 might be for the construction of the house, and those names of the people or the families that each and every gram panchayat is to collect the names and supply provide to the tahsil, and from that they used to collect the names and they used to go for the provision of such things by providing the documentations. So the government wanted to provide the homes for the poor in a rural, okay, so that their poverty can be overcome, and the target was up to 2016-17, यानी कि 2016-17 तक जो भी poverty का rate था, that they wanted to reduce. And houses they wanted to provide, that is providing a homestead sites to all by 2012, and step up the pace of house construction, okay, pace of the house construction for a rural poor to cover all the poor by 1617. 2016-17 तक जो विलेजेस थे, विलेजेस में जिनके पास रहने के लिए घर नहीं थे, वो सभी के लिए घर प्रोवाइड करने का उनका मानस था. So that was up to 2016-17 we can say. Okay, then the this is about the infrastructure development. The next point is about the environment. So what for the environment or for the development of the environment, to retain the quality of the environment, government has undertaken the schemes. It is to increase the forest and the tree cover by 5% points. यानी कि जो भी फॉरेस्ट थे, वो फॉरेस्ट की फॉरेस्ट का जो proportion है, that was getting reduced because the people tried to develop the MIDCs or other sectors we can say, and the cultivation, that is farming, etc. Due to which there was a reduction in the forest. So government wanted to increase that rate, that is a forest rate we can say, and for that to be by a 5% points. Then to attain the World Health Organization, WHO we can say, to attain the WHO standards, okay, WHO standards of air quality in all major cities by 2011-12. We used to see that in a major cities or mega cities, there used to be have so much polluted air we can say. So to reduce that pollution or to increase the quality standards of the air as per the WHO standards, government wanted to have this increased quality of the air standards up to the 2011-12 as per the WHO. Then to treat all urban wastewater by 11-12 to clean river waters. यानी कि बहुत बार हम क्या देखते हैं कि जो भी रिवर्स में जो पानी छोड़ दिया जाता है, that is by untreated water we can say. So the government wanted to provide a sewage treatment plants for every sector or everywhere we can say, or in mega cities rather we can say consider right now, so that the whatever the pollution of the water is there, that pollution will be get controlled. That is the motto behind it. And to increase the energy efficiency by 20% by 1670, that is by increasing the use of the solar energy. And ultimately, if you are going to depend on the solar energy, coal and all those things, that is a source of the energies, must not be that they not be that much considered. And ultimately, the cutting of the trees and all those things will be get reduced. Okay, so those are the aspects, those are covered under the environment. It is increasing the forest, attaining the quality of the air standard qualities we can say as per the WHO in the mega cities. Then treat all urban wastewater before the releasing it in rivers. That quality must be as an water quality of the river, and increasing the energy efficiency by 20% by 1670. Okay, so those are the different aspects, different categories of the 11th 5-year plan. Okay, so today we'll stop here, and in the next lecture we'll go for the next part. Okay.